Good morning. Welcome to Mount Diablo Unitarian Church. My name is Ondine Young. Any pronouns are fine. And I'm pleased to introduce the gathering song, which is called Faith is a Forest. The words are by Shelley Jackson Denham. It's a Chinese folk tune. This hymn's tune depicts, it's a Chinese melody that depicts the beauty of a jasmine flower, adapted by Yi To Lo. The text was written by Shelley Jackson Denham, a UU Director of Extension and Worship at the Mountain NC. And my family celebrates Lunar New Year, Chinese New Year, so we're really excited to present this to you in two ways. One is a hymn that you know to sing with us in English, and later you will hear it in Chinese Mandarin. Although my family speaks Cantonese, so we have Kevin Shen here to help us with the Mandarin. And then we have my son Liam Youngskeen and Aiden Lewis playing bells for us today. They're going to play the intro to Faith is a Forest. Please rise and body your spirit for 194, Faith is a Forest. Here's the intro.
There's a forest in which doves play and hide. Insight can hear the still small voice deep inside. Web of life, may this thread I weave, strength and commitment to all I believe. Vision be my guide as I seek my way. Lead me into this tender day. Speak to me in all I do say. Seeds of both weak and strong are scattered in air. Dignity shines undimmed by privilege's glare. Web of life, may this thread I weave. Help me bear witness to all I believe. Justice be my guide as I seek my way. Lead me into
Welcome to the Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church. I'm the Reverend Leslie Takahashi, and my pronouns are she and her. And that delay was because we had so many fun pictures from last night's dance. So thank you all for Tech Deck for giving us time for those. I am really glad to see some of you here this morning for this very important service as we welcome our student chaplain, Travis, to our pulpit, and as we also mark with our music today the Lunar New Year, the Year of the Dragon. So we are grateful for that, both of those things today. We're glad that you've chosen to be part of this service, whether you're here in the sanctuary or on our live stream, or perhaps today watching this after the fact, because there are a few other things going on today. If you are here with us in one way or another, we hope you'll join us for a coffee hour, either virtually online for 15 minutes after the service or in our Borton Hall, where we'll have a lot going on today. If you are ready to make the commitments of membership, we have a signing every first Sunday of the month, and somehow I totally forgot last week it was the first Sunday of the month, so therefore we're having a signing the second Sunday of February today. Please see me at about 12 if you are interested in signing our membership book today. For those in need of a listening ear, we have our pastoral listener on campus, and you will see Barbara near the water column during the offertory, so you can see who she is. If you were not planning to watch the football event or the Puppy Bowl, which I know some of you were planning on watching, you can join me for a Traverse and Converse at Heather Farms at 1 p.m. today. We'll meet in the parking lot just to the right as you turn into the park. It is a flat and easy place to move, and it is accessible. So we'll just be there for about 45 minutes if you want to join. And the second Sunday of the month is our Justice Sunday. Today, Reverend Rodney will be joining in assembling breakfast bags in conjunction with Temple B'nai Tikva. And also you can enjoy good food cooked by Erica Calderon, our sanctuary guest from 1920, who's back as our guest chef this morning. Breath and Spirit, our half-day meditative retreat, will be held next Saturday morning. Sign up through the calendar for this meditative rest. Welcome to this beloved community.
Good morning. I'm Andrew Oswald, a member of your Board of Trustees. My pronouns are he and him. Welcome to our service. Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church is a welcoming faith community. We begin our services by reading our mission together. We bring to life our Unitarian Universalist values as we seek truth and work for justice, nurture compassion and courage, reach out to each other and to our larger community of faith, bridge the divisions that wound the human family, transform ourselves and our world. February is a great time to get involved. Check out the weekly email and Beacon newsletter for the many, many things that are happening here. We're so glad to have you with us. Our expectation is that those who are attending in person have no symptoms of any of the communicable things going around. Thank you for honoring this commitment to keep another safe. And a few announcements, lots of exciting things happening at MDUC. Keep up with them by attending our forums. We have one next Sunday at 12:15. And welcome. It's good to be together.
Hi, I'm Travis McPhee. My pronouns are he and him. And now's the time to exchange greetings with one another. Let's take today to feel gratitude for how we all support each other. As you greet each other, feel free to say, "Thank you for being here in the world with me." Okay, do I say anything after that? Hi again. I'd like to call forward the young and young at heart. And we'll have a mindful moment together. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to do a practice of turning inward and speaking kindly to ourselves. Are you ever nervous about trying something new? I get nervous sometimes about trying new things. You too? Thanks for being with me in that feeling. Maybe you can get worried because you think you can't do it. Well, for today, let's try a practice where we can use talking kindly to ourselves to help ourselves through times like that. So you can start by closing your eyes, and you can imagine someone you love speaking encouragingly to you. Now, see if you can, in the same way, talk to yourself quietly in your head with positivity and encouragement and kindness. You could think of a situation where it'd be hard to do something, and you could imagine talking kindly to yourself, letting yourself know you can do it. You could tell yourself it's okay to try many times when doing something new. And you could say, thank you for being brave enough to try something new. Now open your eyes, and if it feels right, maybe give yourself a smile, because you're amazing. Thank you for practicing this way of talking kindly to yourself with me.
Good morning, everyone. My name is David Longfellow, and I go by he and him. Our chalice lighting words today are from Reverend Sarah Asher. May the light from this flame be a beacon of our faith in these days that grow dark and dreary. May the light from this flame be warmth to our spirits during nights of restless searching. May the light from this flame be a celebration of the truth, meaning, and joy we find within these walls and in our dreams.
Thanks.
Good morning. Today I have a story for you. I'm going to read it from my phone because I had trouble with the printer today. This is called The Little Seeds, Big Faith. Once upon a time, in a cozy garden nestled between rolling hills, there lived a little seed named Sprout. Sprout lived at the edge of the garden where the sun's rays kissed the earth and the gentle breeze whispered through the leaves. One morning, As Sprout basked in the warmth of the sun, a caterpillar inched by and said, "Hello, little seed. Would it be all right if I sit with you for a while?" "Oh, of course, caterpillar," the little seed replied. The caterpillar sidled up next to the little seed and stared off into the distance. "What's on your mind, caterpillar?" the little seed asked. "I've been thinking about religion and faith and what I should believe in." Raise your hand if you've ever thought about religion or faith or what you should believe in. It's a big question. "Wow, that's a big topic for so early in the morning," the little seed replied with a chuckle. "I'm not religious, so I don't pay a lot of attention to faith. I figure, what's the point if I don't believe in God?" Raise your hand if you have felt, "What's the point? I don't believe in God." Has anybody ever felt that? That's okay. That may be true, but still, I feel like religion is so complicated. "I wouldn't even know where to start," the little seed said. "Well, what do you believe in?" the caterpillar asked. Sprout felt surprised. No one had ever asked them that question before. "Well, I believe in growing strong and reaching for the sky," Sprout replied. The caterpillar chuckled softly. "That's a wonderful belief, Sprout, but there's more to faith than just growing tall. Faith is about trusting in something greater than yourself, something that gives you strength and guidance." Puzzled, Sprout pondered those words. "But what can I trust in?" Sprout asked. The caterpillar replied, "You can trust in the earth that cradles your roots, the sun that warms your leaves, and the rain that quenches your thirst. You can trust in the cycle of life that brings new beginnings and the power of resilience that helps you overcome challenges." As Sprout listened, a feeling of warmth and comfort spread through its tiny roots. "I understand now," Sprout said softly. "Faith is not just about religion or spirituality or believing in a God. It's about finding anchors that we can trust to support us, no matter what changes may come." "Yes, that's it," said the caterpillar with glee. And from that day on, Sprout nurtured its faith in the earth, in the sun, the rain, and all the cycles of life. And as it grew into a strong and vibrant plant, it shared its newfound understanding with all of the other seeds in the garden, helping them discover their own anchors of accessible faith. The end. And now I'd like to invite you to join us in singing the children and youth to their activities.
Good morning. My name is Casey Gardner. My pronouns are she and her, and they and them, and I'm your worship associate this morning. So I've always considered myself lucky. So much that when I was younger, I took a very special interest in the idea of God. I had this little children's Bible. It had illustrations. It was very cute. I had read the stories of how God was kind, especially to the people who believed in him, so as a naive, gullible kid, I easily correlated finding quarters on the sidewalk or always getting the best seat in the movie theater with some type of cosmic favor or some type of divine reciprocity. I said please and thank you today, so that's why I got an extra scoop of ice cream. I prayed every night before bed, so I got an A on my spelling test. I no longer believe in God. After learning about the simple and perfect wonders of cause and effect, my fascination with a higher power faded. People gave me nice things because I was nice to them. Quarters were easily dropped on the ground. We always got to the movie theater early. I spent hours reading children's books, so of course I was really good at spelling. And it didn't take me very long to see the hypocrisy in those who held a blind faith. They asked God to heal the wounded, to prevent the inevitable, or even to hurt those who deserved their kindness and humanity. It seemed that God did not necessarily always answer prayers, sometimes even took credit for the efforts of the very people who looked to him before seeing the holiness in themselves. But yet, I am still an optimist, and maybe it was the time I spent having faith in God that showed me how nice it feels to believe that things are going to turn out okay. One of my favorite movies as a kid was the 1977 Disney film, The Rescuers. If you haven't seen it, it's about two mice who save an orphaned girl from a kidnapper. In an early scene, while she waits at the orphanage, sad that she hasn't been adopted yet, her talking cat says what is to this day probably one of my favorite little quotes about faith. It's a poem, really. It goes like this: "Faith is a bluebird you see from afar. It's for real and as sure as the first morning star. You can't touch it or buy it or wrap it up tight, but it's there all the same, making things turn out right." Now, I don't know who wrote that line, but I think it makes as much sense to me as anything intangible can, to someone who believes in stars and birds more than anything invisible. Faith is real, even though we could never begin to prove the weight or shape of what we have faith in. Recently, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. Because she too has the kind of luck that comes with making all the right choices, she caught it early, and after chemo and surgery, she is expected to fully recover. But what has always fascinated me about my mother, despite a life of tragedy and trauma, is how she always believes in the best outcome. She was the one who taught me about the power of things like manifestation, that sometimes faith is the catalyst for knowing where to look for the silver linings, or even gathering the tools to create the bluebirds and first evening stars that life has to offer. And she lives this philosophy. Even before she knew her prognosis, she was confident that everything was going to be okay, despite the fear and concern it might not. And it's because of her that I am less worried, rather hopeful. In a way, I'm even grateful to be navigating this alongside her. Maybe that's too easy for me to say, as someone who's never lost anyone to this illness, as someone who has been that kind of lucky. But I have faith in what I do know and believe. God might not be the one who comes to save any of us in the end, but goodness and happy endings do come from everywhere, from the people that work for it, our rescuers, if you will, like cancer doctors and foster parents and volunteers and mentors and social workers and nurses, or even just those who still look to a God, but that is a God who moves hands to fight for change before raising fists to foster hatred. If you ask me today, I'd say that I'm still very much an optimist and a person of faith, because faith is not calling miracles into existence where and when they will never be. It's not the magical ending to a Disney movie that seems almost a little too contrived. But it is looking into the eyes of a loved one and feeling blessed that they're still here. It's knowing you are not alone on a planet full of billions of people, many of whom would go out of their way to help a stranger. It's counting all your lucky stars, enough to still make wishes on the ones that fall. Or it's the positive outlook of a child staring at an imperfect world, but somehow knowing there is still so much in it left to believe in. Thank you.
Please rise and water your spirit for 59 Almond Trees Renewed in Bloom by Vietnamese composer Nguyen Doc Tuan, English words by Fred Kahn and Shalom Ben Chorin. Fred Kahn is a hymn writer who sought to address issues of peace and justice. Kahn lived through the Nazi occupation, saw 3 of his grandparents die of starvation, and witnessed his parents' deep involvement in the resistance movement. This is an interesting thing for me because my family and friends are both ethnically Chinese from Vietnam, as well as having endured persecution as Jews in Poland and elsewhere. So please join us.
This is the time in our service when we take into the loving heart of this community those joys and sorrows that are too great to hold alone. And I'm asking those who who have written in the book and would like to come forward at this time. I have a number of folks. I'm asking Travis to light our first candle today for Maura Mattingly, who we're really glad to have back with us. And Maura writes, extreme gratitude that I have health care to fully cover my hip replacement, and to my husband, Stephen, for his care and support while challenged himself. Health care for all. Thank you, Maura. And I'm asking Travis to light a candle as well for our member of many decades, Bill Phelan. We're sending care to Bill, who has entered hospice care. So if you are a friend of Bill, this would be a great time to drop off a card that Travis or I could take to him this time. I'm also asking Travis to light another candle. Some of you know this, but not everyone does, and it's important. I'm sharing some sad news that last Sunday there was some damage in our memorial garden. The large cedar that is the center of our garden fell during the storm, and we'll gather to mark this as a community sometime when it's not Super Bowl Sunday. So, but it is a sacred space for so many, and a place where we have we mark those who have gone before us. So I just wanted us to take a moment to acknowledge that. Kevin Shea is lighting a candle today. He says, the best man at my wedding, Dave Saltzer, is back home after more than a week in the oncology ward ICU. Grubhub helped him survive the terrible hospital food. And Ron Annan is lighting a candle this morning. Ron writes, I light a candle of joy in sharing the news that I have accepted the position of ministerial intern at the First Unitarian Church of Albuquerque, New Mexico, starting in August. Ron writes, I will miss family and friends during my 10-month interim position, but I will return to MDUC when I finish. Thank you for your loving support during these last 4 years of preparation for the ministry. And Mary Nail is lighting a candle here in person instead of watching us from the Santa Cruz Mountains. And Mary says, so wonderful to be here in person today. Yes, good job. I invite Travis to light 2 final candles. One holds those joys and sorrows that we haven't expressed in words, but which are also held here in our loving embrace. And then the last candle holds our optimistic hope, sometimes against odds, for this one precious, beautiful, and troubled world of which we are a part.
Please stay seated for the meditation hymn, number 41 in the new purple-looking book called Basket of Plums. Namo Buddhaya. It's a homage to Buddha from Basket of Plums. Thich Nhat Hanh is the Plum Village leader. A famous Buddhist mantra, the translation, I bow down before the Buddha of the eternal golden red light. I bow down before nature. I bow down before teachings which lead to enlightenment. I bow down before societies which united for self-realization. This is a call and response, so Kevin Shen will be singing the call and we just respond. It'll happen 3 times.
I invite you to join me in the spirit of meditation, to settle into this place, into this moment, into this quiet, this peace, this shared beauty, the beauty of the music and celebration in the service, the beauty of the words, and most importantly, the beauty of the company and gathering. Into this space, I invite these words from E.E. Cumming. I thank you, God, for this most amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees and a blue true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. I who have died am alive again today, and this is the sun's birthday. This is the birthday of life and of love and wings and of the gay, great, happening, illimitably earth. How should tasting, touching, hearing, seeing, breathing, any lifted from the no of all nothing, human merely being, doubt unimaginable you? Now the ears of my ears awake, and now the eyes of my eyes are opened. So let us together now, here in the gift of community, take a moment to recognize all that is worthy of awe today, all that is worthy of celebrating, those small bits of beauty, those larger frames of love and meaning. Whatever name we give to the holy and sacred, let us honor it here in this time. We may think of it as large, or we may think of it as the beauty of the detail. The sight of someone we love, the way their eyes crinkle in the corner, the joy of connection with that which is fleeting and yet touches the lasting appreciation for life within us. In this moment, which is its own gift and will never be returned to us again, we can take the time to remember the small fragments of joy, the inspirations for wonder, the little opportunities of beauty, and allow ourselves to be more fully present to all of this. May we hold all these blessings in the spirit of remembering that sacred nature lives in all of us.
We will be singing for this special music, Mo Li Hua, a jasmine flower song round. It's a traditional Chinese, and we're singing it in Mandarin folk song. You will recognize the melody from Faces of Forest. And we are getting to include strings, pianos, bells, winds, and brass, as well as singers wanting to all walks of life to join us. We'll be singing in Chinese and English. This is a well-known song in China. It's originally from the Qing dynasty. There are many versions of the song throughout China. It is used for many occasions, including Lunar New Year. The translation is roughly beautiful jasmine flower, sweet-smelling, beautiful stems full of buds, fragrant and white. Everyone praises the flower. I want to give it to someone, jasmine flower. And after the service, if you want to try the bells, come talk to me. We will be doing a bell choir Sundays at 9:45. Before we start to sing, I would like Kevin Shen to please, we have lots of Kevins and Liams today, Kevin Shen to please read the Mandarin poetry for us.
好一朵美丽的茉莉花，芬芳美丽满枝桠，又香又白人人夸。让我来将你摘下，送给别人家。茉莉花呀，茉莉花。
Flower of jasmine, oh so fair. Flower of jasmine, oh so fair. Budding and blooming here and there, pure and fragrant, all declare. Let me take you with tender care, your sweetness for all. Jasmine fair, oh jasmine fair. Oído meli di moliva, oído meli di moliva, oído meli di magia, Gosha Gopa Jajwa, from flower of jasmine, oh so fair. Flower of jasmine, oh so fair. Budding and blooming here and there, pure and fragrant, all declare. Let me take you with tender care, pure sweetness for all. Jasmine fair, oh jasmine
Your sweetness for all, jasmine fair, oh jasmine fair.
Deep appreciation for the magical music. Greetings on this Super Bowl Sunday and happy Lunar New Year. And I'm Mark David Watanabe. My pronouns are he and him. I currently serve on your board of trustees, but not as the treasurer. Lately, I've been thinking a lot about wabi-sabi, the Japanese aesthetics worldview that is centered on the acceptance of transience and imperfection. I don't know whether it was the unexpected bumps experienced at work or the gaffes I continue to make in my current peculiar leadership role here. But wabi-sabi has certainly been there, front and center. Yet, my decades of being a part of several Unitarian Universalist congregations has taught me that these are the spaces that offer me the grace to allow for forgiveness and the capacity to see the light through the brokenness. For that, I am personally grateful. If you are also so moved by your own feelings of gratitude for Mount Diablo Unitarian Universalist Church, itself a totally imperfect community, but one that strives to embrace all of us who may be citizens of the island of misfit toys. Please support it then with your financial gifts at this time. If MDUC can continue to thrive, its role in providing vital spiritual grounding will be secure, and we will be poised to transform our flaws into a fulfilling future for everyone I now invite the ushers to come forward here in the sanctuary, and those of you joining us virtually can look for that yellow Give Now button. Your offerings will now be received with appreciation. Thank you, and go Niners. with me in reciting our dedication of the offering. To the work of this community in transforming ourselves and our world, we dedicate ourselves and our offerings.
Hello. Before I start, I'd like to just take another moment to appreciate the music today. It was so moving. And I appreciate getting to celebrate Lunar New Year with you today. In this time of transition, especially a transition occurring alongside so much in the world that's painful and scary and hard to live with, I'm grateful to get to speak today about a concept I really love: faith. What is faith? I'd like to look at this word, faith, to explore broadening the concept and making it more accessible in a time when many people, not only the religious and spiritual, could be supported by it. I believe a more accessible faith is important because it can guide people through the hardships with perseverance and integrity. I remember when I decided to quit my job at 25, move out of my apartment, sell my car, and go live at a Zen Buddhist monastery. My parents wanted to understand why I was doing this. So I tried to explain it to them. I tried to say that I was following my faith. And both my parents responded immediately with great concern and fear. So I realized the word faith had triggered anxiety and doubt in them. I changed my technique. I explained how I had been feeling more depressed in my old path, how my heart had felt something kind of just missing, and how when I thought about this new path, my heart and mood and energy soared. I told them my values and my gut were guiding me to it, and I trusted that guidance enough to take a risk, even though I knew it was a big risk. And this response was much more palatable to them. The word faith just wasn't able to convey what it meant to me, to them, with such a big decision. And that was hard because it felt like, for me, the most appropriate word to describe what I was feeling. I've noticed as I have brought up the word faith in conversations that many people assume faith must always be religious or spiritual, or that faith must be connected to a theistic belief system. This feels important to honor, for it means when I communicate using the word faith, it may often carry a meaning which I may not mean to transmit at all. Still, I don't want to give up on that word. I feel called to use the word faith with others, not to just replace it completely with words like knowing or trusting or feeling confident about. I want to include those nuances of the word faith, and I want to be honest about what faith is for me. I want to let people know that in my perspective and beliefs, faith can be powerful without any religious or spiritual or God connotation. It feels important to me for faith to be accessible. So when approaching the question, what does it mean to practice faith? It's a more accessible kind of faith that I want to explore. I believe that faith is not only a part of all spiritual and religious beliefs, but it is a part of believing in general. I'll admit that I came into awareness of faith in a rather spiritual way, but I still don't think faith has to be spiritual. Before that awareness of faith's role in my life, I had a deep trust, which I didn't call faith at the time, in things like kindness and love and compassion and truth. I put my trust in and acted in alignment with these things despite having uncertainties about them, about how they guide me. It was a radical kind of trust that felt resistant to degradation. It had grit and it had sustainability. And it didn't mean I was closed off from challenges to that trust. It felt open, like I was willing to have that trust risked, to learn from experience, and to let that trust transform. Its power gave me space to respect and open to that which contradicted my beliefs. And I would call that kind of faith, that kind of radical trust, faith. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, the primary definition of faith is great trust or confidence in something or someone. And following this, there are definitions that include a God-centered focus. But I think it's important that the very first listed definition is not religious, spiritual, or God-focused at all. Great trust or confidence in something or someone. That sounds like something to which everyone can relate. Now, I do not think faith or great trust is easy. It takes a lot of courage to give it. Also, I think we can use it unhealthily. Faith is risky. I have a dear friend whose great trust in a spiritual teacher led to such great disappointment that his faith in spiritual practice greatly collapsed for a time. My friend put intense trust in his spiritual teacher. His faith in the spiritual teachings became mixed up with his faith in this teacher. And when the teacher's imperfections and mistakes let my friend down, he became greatly disillusioned. His anger at the teacher became anger at spirituality in general, as well as anger at himself. He's strong, and he was able to overcome this anger in time, but it was a really painful experience. We must be extremely careful with how we invest our radical trust. Perhaps there are very few things in our lives to which we can give this kind of trust healthily. And when we do give this kind of trust, it needs to be living and growing, dynamic and conversational, like a relationship. Or I fear it will shatter when objects do what all objects do and change. Healthy faith is special because it's so rare, because it's alive, and I think that makes it really precious. Despite the risks, I feel that faith is often necessary in our lives. It's a part of what gets us through. It keeps us going. It can be an anchor when the storms of doubt and sudden change are threatening to unmoor us. Most of us grow up trusting and depending on others to make it safely to an age of self-sufficiency. We find security by putting great trust or confidence into caregivers and systems of support. We take comfort from and rely on faith from an early age. Sometimes that faith from our youth ends up really hurting us. It can be devastating when it goes awry. It makes sense that we'd have complicated feelings about faith. Faith broken, along with the hope and trust inside of it, can bring such intense disappointment that we may enter despair. Because of the severity of pain, it can bring radical trust can become intolerable. It makes sense that many would feel allergic to the notion of faith. But the depth of pain possible with faith are also marks of the potential benefits. The disappointment when hopes are dashed is painful because it's the loss of comfort, peace, and satisfaction instilled by those hopes. So, should we give up on trust and hope? I don't think it's about eradicating hope to feel safe from disappointment. This method is just too extreme. This is like avoiding friendship to take away the sting away from loneliness. No, instead, I think we must hold hope and disappointment together. There's a distinct beauty to investing in hope despite the turbulence of life and the knowledge of hope's temporality. It is something transcending the duality of hope and despair when we invest in hope while simultaneously knowing it will fall short, it will end, and we will have to face pain. I believe faith can be a force that transcends that duality. It can invite us into the fullness of life. Faith enables me to foster hope without over-reliance upon my expectations of how the seed will fruit and blossom. Faith is a response to the uncomfortable tension between ideals and fears that does not give up on either side of the tension. I believe faith is a healthy, practicable, practicable, and accessible response to a life of constant change and hope's resultant fallibility. Faith holds hope holistically. When faith is lived and practiced, it is more than just a mental exercise. It's holistic in its manifestations. My favorite thing about faith is what it does to our actions. Zen monastic practice was an amazing gift. It afforded me the chance to clarify my faith, connecting with my deepest trusts and the depths that come from spiritual retreat, revealed in me a call to action. I loved living in monastic community, but because of this calling, I decided to leave in order to better act out my faith. I found the values that I most deeply trusted yearning to be embodied in work meant to counter injustice and empower love. Although it was difficult, I am very glad I left the monastery because embodiment of my faith has given me an unparalleled sense of fulfillment. When we commit to act by our faith, we live out our radical trusts towards a profound self-fulfillment. We embody a holistic integration as our relationship to the many finds alignment with our concentration on a purpose. Faith can also be radical trust in the non-rational, deep and organic wisdom that is in all of us. Audre Lorde, American writer, womanist, professor, and activist, addresses women about this kind of trust, saying, "As women, we have come to distrust that power which rises from our deepest and non-rational knowledge. We have been warned against it all our lives by the male world, which values this depth of feeling enough to keep women around in order to exercise it in the service of men, but which fears this same depth too much to examine the possibilities of it within themselves. I deeply lament the way men, persons with my identity, have consistently formed the body of dominating groups that promoted such intense self-distrust. Self-distrust protects large-scale oppression because it guards against dissolving exploitative and harmful injustices. I lament my part in that. And I think all of us have to work together to undo this distrust if we want to find individual and collective harmony. I believe finding trust for our deepest organic wisdoms is one of the most important acts for countering injustice and freeing our collective selves. The power of faith in one's own organic wisdom is the power to find a transcendent guidance system that is always with you. It is the power to check the suggestions of others against an anchoring wisdom, so we are less likely to be deluded by the expressions of others' greed and hatred. It can protect us from succumbing to the almost irresistible seduction of popular opinion and groupthink. It can help us trust our hearts despite the mechanisms of fear conditioned into our thoughts and beliefs that may tell us that trusting our own radical wisdom is unproductive and unsafe. Faith, this great trust and confidence, is especially beautiful to me when given to one's own heart. This is something hard to describe, but beautiful to feel. To me, faith in the guidance of the heart is one of the most sacred paths and one of the most accessible methods of finding the way through the mystery of life. In the words of Quique Pinto in his song Mi Corazón, muy adentro de mi pecho, el misterio de la vida, mi corazón. Es una voz escondida, entonando una canción. Es una luz encendida. Por rumbos desconocidos, mis pasos tú vas guiando. En medio de mil peligros, entonando una canción, vas hallando mi camino, mi corazón. Translated into English, the message is, deep inside my chest, the mystery of life, my heart. It's a hidden voice singing a song. It's a hidden light. You guide my steps on a course unknown. Amidst 1,000 dangers, you find the way, singing all the while, my heart. The power of the heart's guidance is a mystery that defies logic. Following the heart may sound corny, but for some, it is the process that leads out of shallowness to depth, from confusion or hollowness in life to meaning and fulfillment. I encourage you to consider it with open-mindedness. So what is faith? For me, it's a willingness to risk, giving great trust despite complications inherent to that act. It is trying to learn from disappointments as I gently return to being directed by hope for a better world. It is practicing radical trust holistically, especially in my actions. It is resolving and again to trust myself, to trust I have infinite wisdoms in me and that they need not be rational to be respected. It is listening to my heart and watching that process guide me to embody love in the world. While the endeavor to live with faith may be religious, it does not require a religious perspective. It is a practice open to us all. Living out faith is beyond my ability to understand, so I cannot guarantee it is best or right or even good. All I can say is that I have great faith in that practice. I pray and hope it brings nourishment, love, and peace. Thank you.
Please rise and body your spirit for the closing song, 1031, May I Be Filled with Loving Kindness. This setting, the Metta Sutra, a foundational meditation attributed to Buddha, was adapted by Mark Hayes and set to music by Ian Riddell in 2001. Please join us to try out the bells here or in Borton after the service.
We will now extinguish our chalice with the words of Zen Buddhist priest Shunryu Suzuki, who founded San Francisco Zen Center. I discovered that it is necessary, absolutely necessary, to believe in nothing. That is, we have to believe in something which has no form and no color, something which exists before all forms and color appear. No matter what God or doctrine you believe in, if you become attached to it, your belief will be based more or less on a self-centered idea. May we bring our trust and faith, however they show up for us, out into the world in the spirit of peace.
这杯再说吧。今宵离别后，何日君再来？今上阳关天。重庆白玉杯，饮清平之语，牢牢抚君怀。君宵离别后，何日君再来？喝完了这杯清静点小菜，人生难得几回醉，不欢更何待？哎，再喝一杯，干了吧！今宵离别后，何日君